Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the No BS With Birchy podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Birch, and this is a show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. Today, I'm going to do a different discussion. The topic is going to be called going through the lowest point of my investing, right? And I don't know where to start with this one, but this is going to be like a, let's take the red pill and go on an adventure, folks, because, I did this video, I think years ago. I don't even think I had grey hair back then. I was like fresh-faced kid, right? And at the time, I remember vaguely doing the video on like lowest points of investing, right? I've had little painful points, right, which have been I haven't had enough money. I've had tenants that have screwed up. I've had a deal that fell over and stuff like that. But looking back, when I got asked to redo this video, I'm like, fuck, this feels like an action video, right? Like I feel like I'm riding in machine guns and, I've been through the wars, right? And I don't think any level of success comes without great challenges. That's the biggest thing I could share today, right? Like throughout 20 years, 22 years of investing, like 16 years of business. I've got hundreds of staff. I've got 100 different companies of different things that I do. One day I was doing a podcast and some people in the room, the staff here looking at editing the videos and stuff. I was sitting here doing a podcast and I was like, fuck, I had a Chinese restaurant, right? Like it didn't even occur to me, right? I've got resorts, I've got different random things that have happened, right? And when I first started at the journey, I was a fresh-faced, pimple kid, and I was 13 when I wanted to buy property, and I bought my first one when I was 18, and I thought I want to get to 10 by the age of 30, and I was like, I'm going to do this somehow, right? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? I'm going to make things happen. And I thought it was totally unobtainable, impossible, but I had my plans. I drew out all my goals and reverse engineered 50 times over how it could look, and I was like, I can do this, right? I can make this happen. And I thought 10 years to get 10 properties, 12 years from 18 to 30 was my timeline. I had 2 years to fuck up and 10 years of buying a property every year. I was like, that's all it's going to take. And then I realized it's impossible. And then I got there and I got to like 21. I had like 7 properties or something. And then I had like 25. I'd retired. I had like 25 properties at 25. And I was like, when I look back, I was like, the ego grew and I was like, oh, I'm so fucking cool, man, right? I'm on TV and in the media and stuff. And then, different phases. I start my businesses and then, going to do cool things, going to take over the world. And then you have staff issues and then shit I never sign up to. I've had issues with every government agency pretty much. I've had people try and frame me for shit. And, challenges that people would never, like people would fucking pack up their shit and fuck off by the time they get their first bit of adversity, right? And I feel here now at almost 40 doing this podcast and talking about it, right? There's been so many challenges, like so many. It's not fucking easy, right? But I never set out for an easy life, right? I'm so lazy, I want an easy life, right? I've worked so fucking hard to not be trapped inside of the system that gives me the hard life. I've worked hard to create this crazy cool life, right? But I look back and I think about some of the decisions that I could do differently, and I think about, I was having a shower. I was doing a seminar in Melbourne a few months ago, brushing my teeth and thinking about things, and I was like, I own my life, right? Like if you look at like celebrities out there, like people just seeing the president get voted in, right? And then you think to yourself, oh, whoever your president is that you want to have, you think like you see all these celebrities and they go like, oh, you better vote for this one, right? These people get calls and they go, oh, you better do a podcast and talk about this person. You better do this, or, it's in your advantage to do this, right? It's like the secret hand, right? And there's reasons why I don't go on TV anymore, right? There's reasons why I'm not in the media like I used to, because I don't like to comply, right? And I say things that are a bit wild out there to make you think and to expand your life and to get control over your life, because, I control my life. That's the biggest thing, right? So whatever battles I've been through, I'm in full control, and no one, it's very rare for people to have that, and no one can change that, right? And, you can take anything, take all your assets away, take whatever, but like you control yourself. You can be back tomorrow. You can be, you're like an Etch-a-Sketch, right? You fucking draw the big picture, you remove it all, and then you can still draw it back tomorrow because you've already drawn it before. You know how to get there. So I look at, all the every level I've had to grow, there's always been a level of adversity in there. My biggest pain points at the start, right? I was like, how to earn $100,000 a year income, like just in general, how to earn $100,000 income, right? I did shit grade at school. You have to go to uni. Like, no offense to anyone that goes to uni, right? I don't see that you go to uni, you earn great money, right? I went to the doctors like a few years ago, and the doctor said to the lady doctor, there's a lady, he calls her a lady doctor only, is the lady doctor wants to come in, she's like a student, doctor student, and she's an Indian lady, lovely young lady, and I made a joke, right? You could imagine me making jokes, and it was like just something, I don't even know what it was, like the flu or something. It was like, test your lung, whatever. And I laughed and I said to her, lucky I don't have to drop my DAX today for you, right? And it was at that point I thought to myself, everybody pushes their kid to be a doctor, right? A fucking doctor. Go be a doctor, top of the echelon, right? And $250,000, $500,000 a year. How many times is a doctor? People don't go to the doctor and go, oh, how you going, doc? I'm doing great, right? I was like, I'm fucking sick and tired, coughing shit all over him, right? How many times a year would the doctor get sick, right? Oh, I've got to drop my DAX, put my finger up there, right? It's a fucking not a good job, right? Doctor has to do it. He's gone to uni so far. He's gone 7 years, 8 years, whatever, got his university grade. I'm going to earn $250,000 half a year. Oh, sorry, sir, you're screwed, right? Nothing I can do to save you. There's certain things, right? Everything comes with a level of toughness. So I thought to myself, at 18, I need to earn $100,000 a year income. If I could get $100,000, then I could invest this money, right? And my plan, $100,000, 10 years, $1 million, save $70,000 of that each year. Minimum fucking, I used to staple my socks together. I used to eat for $1 a day, right? I couldn't earn $100,000 a year. So I worked 2 full-time jobs. It was 1 year. I didn't earn $100,000 in like the second year. I was like 20 or something, 18, 19, something like that. So I went and got a second job, and I worked 1 year, I worked 20-hour days, at least 4 days a week. I worked 7 days a week. I had about 7 days off within the whole year, right, as my punishment, because I'm like, I need to fucking get there, right? If I'm off my goal by just a smidgen, it's not going to work. So I sacrificed my youth, right? So I looked at it at the time, I was like, I'm sacrificing 10 years here. By the age of 30, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And I thought it was impossible, but I was like, my goal is too clear. It's too clear. Like, it's too easy. I need to get there. So the challenges I had at the early days were like, how do I get debt? How do I understand? I didn't even know how money worked, right? I didn't know how a loan worked. I didn't even know what equity was, right? I thought you had to save up a deposit, buy another property. And then from that, I learned things along the way, and then I was like, oh, I can do this smarter, I can do it wiser, and then new challenges come. And every time there's been a breakthrough and a growth, there's been, I said before, and as a gatekeeper, I've said it a few times on podcasts as a gatekeeper, but once you get through that, it's like you want to have big muscles, but you have to turn up the gym and get fucking sore arms sometimes, right? You've got to get sore legs, right? You've got to hurt to grow. So as an investor, there's been those challenges, but then as a business person, that's where my biggest challenges came from, because I never managed staff. I've got certain skill sets that I'm good at. It took me 10 years to get some of my business to the best points of where they are, and like the last 5 years have been tremendous. We do really great things, but I had to learn how to be a businessman. I had to learn how to deal with staff. I had to learn how to deal with all the government regulatory bodies. I had to learn that, there's a big extortion racket that we deal with in life, and everyone's trying to take from you constantly. So each level, like, I've got some fucking crazy stories, and they're probably for other podcasts. I've done podcasts on some of these stories, and we'll probably do podcasts further in the future, right? I've been broke. I've had to call my mates. I've had to borrow from friends. I've had to borrow from everyone around me. There's times where I've carried around a glass jar, right, of coins. When I used to smoke, get coins, used to use money, right, and not use card and tap everywhere, and have like $2, $4, and you put your jeans in the wash, and then all these coins come out of your washing machine, and you put them in a jar. And then I've been broke, and I'm like, I've got to use that jar, put it in the door trim of my car, and then I've been like, I had to sell my cars, I had to get a $500 car. I've had to face adversity. So like, to think there's one instance, there's been multiples, right? I don't want to sit here and go, oh, I've done this and this and this is so cool. I'm just saying, like, there's like the result is amazing, right? It's not unrepeatable, but like not many people will go through the shit I've gone through to get there, right? And I've taken it to the extreme, right? If I just stuck to 10 properties, I'd be there like, what are we doing for lunch, right? But there is challenges. So whether it be a tenant fucking a place up, whether it be, I remember once I had 3 properties burned down in a month, and I got investigated from the insurance companies because like, oh, is this guy fucking paying locals to, just use a case of taking a petrol, right? And they're totally unrelated. And then I'd tell people about it, and people are like, I'm so sorry to hear about it, like someone has died. I'm like, hang on a second, no, I've put measures in place and I'm getting financially good out of this, right? Like they're all insured and stuff like that, so it worked out good. So there can be problems, but if you put protection measures in place, you can remove risk, right? And there's always going to be a risk. People that think they're the safest are in the biggest, riskiest part, right? And we're seeing that today unfold in 2024, 2025. Inflation's robbing people, right? People don't realize, I'm not into politics, right? I'm politically atheist, right? But something occurred, and I'm going to talk about this on a Facebook Live I'm going to do tonight. But if you haven't seen the Facebook Live, because people watch different platforms and different viewing streams and whatnot, it occurred to me yesterday, I was thinking everyone voted for Trump, right? And I'm politically atheist, right? I've met the bloke. He seemed like a decent bloke, but they're all placed there. If someone's placed there, this is a selection. It's not an election. Everyone's like, oh, fucking he's going to change the world, and people praying and stuff about Trump. I'm like, it's all a show. It's like a WWE wrestler, right? And everyone's going, this guy is going to stop China. He's going to stop this. He's going to do this, right? Just think about this for a second. You've got to think, why does Elon Musk sit at the table with Trump, right? Why does Elon Musk sit there and endorse the bloke? If he puts tariffs on everything coming in from overseas, right? A 10% tariff, a 20% tariff, right? Everyone's like, yeah, fuck them. Let's get the jobs back, right? That's a 20% tax on everything you fucking buy, right? You just tax the fucking shit out of you, right? But no one's questioning that, right? And why does Elon Musk, yeah, he's a fucking savior, the guy that wants to put the chip in your brain, right? He did the great thing by getting Twitter and putting it back into safe hands. No, what he did is he was a piece of the chessboard there, right? And, there's Teslas, they can be security devices, whatever. I'm not going to conspiracy theories here, right? But when you think about it, who doesn't get tariffed is this bloke that's building in there, right? So his sales are going to go up a lot inside of his system. So when you realize that the world is made of decisions and made of things that are outside of your control, right? That's where you need to be like, fuck, like, what are the decisions? Who's playing control over you? Is it the tax system? Is it inflation? Like, that was just the simplest part of everyone's just so asleep to the fact that they're getting fleeced, right? They're going, oh, yeah, and the fucking tattoos of the bloke or whatever. And it's like, he's just fucking enslaved you more, right? But you think you're safe, but you're not safe. You think you're saving some money. What's going to happen when they put all these taxes and tariffs on? It's going to break people more. It's going to need more money printing, more inflation, and everything's going to go up greater, right? We're going to make inflation great again, guys, right? So you think you're saving $100,000, you're doing the safest thing that you can do because cash is the king, right? But as I said on another podcast, right, the $100,000 that you had from 5 years ago ain't the $100,000 you got today because you only buy half the amount of shit. And the $100,000 you had from 5 years ago is different than the $100,000 from 10 years and 20 years and 30 years ago. So, what is safe and what is risky, and, everyone's comfort levels are different. But if I was to go back and change anything, I wouldn't change a single thing, right? It's made me to who I am today. There's lots of pain and lots of painful stories, lots of times where I've been like, I don't know where I'm going to get the next $50 for petrol from. And, and I say that, and people think I've got like an ATM machine where I shit out $100 notes all the time, right? I'm just loaded in cash. Cash is trash, right? I'm very wealthy. I've got the assets. I've got the cash flow. There was a point in 2020 I saw the opportunity to buy motels. I bought 30 motels. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'll buy properties. I'll buy 30 properties, right? It's okay, nothing, right? I buy 30 motels. You got 30 fucking restaurants to fill up, 30 lots of alcohol, right? Hundreds of new staff, the settlements of them. I didn't have the banks. The banks wouldn't lend to me. I had to find ways to make these things happen. Like, it was like I put myself in a headlock, right? So, but I look back and I've got the fastest growing hotel chain in the country, right? I've got one of the largest hotel networks in the country from scratch. I'm not a fucking hotelier. I'm not in the hospitality space. I'm not doing any of that. But I saw a vision and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? But that journey to get there, I'm like, okay, fuck, I want to get to 100, got to 30, kicked ass. I'll get to the 100. Let's just have a little breather for the moment. Need to reassess and work out what's working and what's not. But then it's like, I could sit there and go, it's all too hard, right? Or I could be like, oh, that's all too hard. I wouldn't have done it. But I wouldn't have made I look at all my assets I'm getting valued at the moment. They're like doubled and tripled in 2 years, right? The cash flows are tremendous, right? But if someone sits there and says, oh, motel, right? People go, oh, I should buy a motel. It's the next thing. I don't suggest it, right? It's you're taking on different elements to your position. So that was just like a recent example of it. And then, there's been times where I haven't lodged taxes for years, right? And those 3-letter word organizations want to come and, shake you down, right? And, we have relationships, right? We have relationships with each other. We're known to each other. And it's like, there's the parameters that are in there, right? You've got to work within the parameters. You need to know what's out there. People say, I don't want to buy properties in one location because I have to pay land tax, right? There you go. Land tax. It's like, well, I might pay $100,000 land tax a year. It's a fucking fraud. It's a scam. They're fucking me over. If they're watching, 3-letter organization that takes my land tax, go get fucked, right? It's a scam. But people will sit there and say, I'm not going to buy the property because they're going to charge me some land tax. It's like, well, if I did that attitude, I wouldn't sit here saying I've got hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets in any one of those states because I'm too scared of paying some land tax, right? So there is challenges along the way, right? There is growing pains. There is, when I first started, I remember I was trying to save my 70, 80 grand a year, working 2 jobs. I'd think if I bought a CD, it was when Napster was around and cassette tapes and shit like that, right? You didn't have YouTube with streaming. You could watch a song that's been uploaded to YouTube or iTunes or anything like that. I used to think this would cost me $20 for a CD. That's an hour of my time I'd have to go and sell, right? You're taking me away from my future to grow, right? So I looked at every little tiny expense. If I could do my haircut every 4 weeks or do my haircut every 6 or 8 weeks, right? It would be a different story and a different outcome of my budget. So I was very fastidious with my budgeting at early days. And I realized sometimes I was being too much of a tight ass. So I was like, okay, I need to manage cash flow better. And each stage has required a different improved version, right? And there's things that you can do that are good and there's things that you can improve upon. And if you can improve those things to go, okay, well, I can see that's going to be a hurdle to my next stage of success. And like I could relate to 20 times that it's like I could cry. Like I don't cry. Like I don't think I've got tear ducts anymore, right? Because I've had to keep my emotional intelligence along the way, right? So, it's not a matter of being smart or it's not a matter of being like, I think being smart is okay, right? But I think controlling your emotions is important. I think being committed is very important. And I think those times when you're faced with adversity is looking at the whole picture, not just the problem. And I see people will just focus completely on a little problem. And if I ever focus on those problems, I'd be like totally screwed. I'm like, okay, that's an issue, that's a risk, but there's a 1,000 different positive things happening. There's 1,000 different negative things happening right now. I need to isolate that and work out the best solution for that. How will it not happen in the future? How can we make sure that we grow and that stays contained, whatever. So, when I first started, I was like I remember I used to have my colleagues that I worked with and I'd be like, let's all chuck in $1 and I'd go to Woolworths. For $5 I'd buy like a loaf of bread and a bottle of soft drink and some baked beans and some hot dogs and stuff like that and make a lunch for $1 a day, right? I felt like I was feeding an Ethiopian kid from World Vision, right? And it was me eating, right? And people say it's impossible, but I had to. I'd staple my socks together. Before you could buy the socks for $1 from Kmart, they were like $10 a pair. And I'd be like, I'll just fucking staple these things, get those holes going, right? And there's been times where I've been like, let's go and buy $1 million worth of cars, right? There's different stages. There's been times where I've bought too many properties and I couldn't settle them all. There's been times where I got really KO'd in about 2016 when APRA changed lending policy, and I had $10 million worth of property to sell, and each month I was settling. Market was going hot. I was buying properties. I was doing a 3-month settlement, a 6-month settlement, whatever. And then as those settlements rolled in, took me an extra 3 months. I'd massage to keep this one together, and then the next one settling, right? And this one saying, if you don't settle, we're going to sue you, right? And I ain't going to lose a deposit. I ain't going to get sued, right? So there's been times where it's like, like on the Matrix, they rip out those machines, rip out Neo's plugged in. He's fighting the bad guys. The machines are taken down. They're about to rip his head off, and then he has to be plugged out, right? And into the real world, and then make their decision, make their move. I've had those times. It's 2 minutes until you're dead financially. Something goes wrong, right? They happen, right? And my ones have been wild, like really fucking wild. But I've taken on so many different things. If I just kept my life simple, I'd just have, like, I wouldn't even know what to do. I think the cortisol in my body wouldn't be able to keep up, right? I'm on so many cool things that I want to do. I'm programmed to make cool things happen, right? I can't just sit there. I've got like ADD, so I'm assuming it is. I'm not trying to label myself as something. I was told as a kid, it was a pain in the ass and I couldn't sit still, and I was one of those kids at school. So I think, for good or bad, that's good. But if I took the basic road and go, okay, I'm going to settle at 10 properties, I'm going to settle at 20, my life would be I could be fishing in some Canadian-looking, little timber hut and, I don't know, partying on a beach somewhere, whatever, and not a care in the world. But I'm like, hang on a second, that's not where my journey stops. I need to keep pushing. This is fun. My journey of fun doesn't mean that I'm going to be driving I've got a mate that loves drift cars, right? He loves that. I couldn't think of anything worse. I've got people that love sport, right? Couldn't think of anything worse than watching a game of sport, right? I've got people that love fishing, right? Cool, catch a fish. If you catch one, great. If you're sitting there all day, boring as fuck, right? What do you fill your time with in your day? And the activities of growth, and that's the journey. It's the fun part that we fill in with our lives. So, yeah, I think if I go back to some of the shit I had to do in the early stages of my journey, I used to, so many things I've done in Trading Post, eBay, to save up a deposit, I'd buy a car. Like I remember driving down the road and seeing a car for $200 or $400. I'd be like, I'm going to offer $200 for that Toyota Corolla. And I'd take it home and take out the radio and sell that for $200 and then put it on the side of the road and make it look nicer and sell it for $1,000, right? I've had to do certain things when I was 17 or 18 because I wanted my deposit. I had to do it. When I was buying properties, it was like, I did this thing. Someone stole my camera, right? Just happened, right? And someone stole my camera. It was the fucking cool JVC. It wasn't that I was upset about. It was because the hard drive in that camera had a 30 days. I'd make a DVD education series of 30 days and 30K on how to build a house, right? I locked myself away, went to a pub, got the local drunk guys, $100 for you, $100 for you. Cool, let's go work at the pub, work at the house. And I built a house from scratch from 30K in 30 days. And I used secondhand house parts. I used secondhand windows. I used secondhand different parts of the property. I've had to be resourceful to grow, right? And did I have to do that? No. If I look back now, I could have got there much smarter because stuff I buy today, I'm like, I understand how the banks work, I understand the properties, I understand where value is. But back in the old days, it was sweat equity I had to do, right? I was renovating my properties. I was like painting things. We've got scars, cuts, holes in hands, different stuff like that have occurred. But that's okay because that's made me knowledgeable. That's given me skill sets. That's given me resistance. That's given me knowledge of going, okay, that's an avenue that's cool, but I don't want to go down there, right? So, yeah, it's just, I've had houses that I've bought in my old school videos, right? I do podcasts. I don't get out on the road as much as I used to. I don't buy those wild things like I used to. I've bought houses for like $7,000. I've bought ones that have been fire damaged, blown up. Some really fucked up shit like needles and bad things that have happened, right? Bad things, right? You have to take your mates with big tattoos over them, come along, let's go for it. You had to be resourceful, right? And I've had to do those renos, and I've had to enter those locations that have been rough, really, really rough. Would I go and do that again? No. My mindset's changed. It's grown. It's evolved, right? But at the day, I had to do that to get to the next stage. There's times I've never spoken about these ones, like when I started doing some tricky deals where I have structured them in different ways, right? So there's ways of structuring them for finance, which we're not going to go into on the podcast, and there's ways of structuring them for nothing bad, and it's irrelevant. There's been ways where this one's more fun, where I've structured convertible leases, right? So it's like I can buy that. I know I've got the funds coming in next year or next 6 months. I'll sign the property with a 12-month lease with the purchase, an exchange and a rental at the same time. So I'm renting it. I don't have to put any money down. And in 12 months' time, I can come back and finance that deal in. I've bought them where I'm like, hey, I'll structure it as vendor finance over 5 years. So I'm turning the seller into my bank, right? I'm factoring into the purchase price any sort of expense for repayments, interest, stuff like that. So I'm like, you want $1 million? I reckon it's worth 900. I'll pay you $1 million. We're going to pay you 100 grand a day, easy, and they're going to pay you 150 grand a year for the next 6 years, right? And they're like, okay, cool. They do the deal. But they don't understand how inflation works. They don't understand lots of other parts. If I had to go to the bank and take a $900,000 loan to the bank, I'll be paying, a period of 6 years at 6% interest rate. You do the sums. There's another $300,000 that I'll be adding into the value of the property, right? But they've covered that, right? So structuring the deals, and then when I've got too many of those deals that I've structured, where I've got to pay for them at a certain time, I was like, shit, I need $1 million this month, $3 million next month. I've created situations for myself that I've had to level up and move, and it's been a fun journey, and I think that the best days lay ahead. I think to myself, as I'm heading into 40 in 2025, what will the 50-year version of myself look like? And I'm excited to see, take all the knowledge that I've learned over the last 20 years of what I do and taking that into the next decade. Because if I was starting out again with all the knowledge that I had and take it back to 2003, I'd be fucking dangerous, eh? I just think, what could the next decade look like? What will that picture as? And I'm excited by it, but it hasn't come easy. It hasn't come that I've just woken up one day and suddenly it's all happened. It's a gradual progression of growing and looking at what do I have at my disposal, and it's not two-dimensional. Everything we look at, like just the average investor, the average position would be like very two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional. It's not six-dimensional. We're not playing 4D chess here. It's looking at everything holistically, sustainable, not like as in like, hey, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya sustainably, but sustainable as in growth and being able to push forward to the next level. So I've definitely had low points, too many low points to chuck out there, but I'll do them on other videos. But low points, they can be small, they can be big. I see a lot of people, this is the biggest takeaway for you guys, most people's problem from being successful is they take the first no and just go and sulk in the corner, right? Could be the first no, it could be the first boot to the head, it could be the first time you've been fucked over, it could be the first time. I've had theft, I have people that I've trusted steal, right? All different things, right? Lying, cheating, stealing, bad things, right? People just go, oh, it's too hard, let's go back to my day, right? But it's like, no, okay, that fucking problem ain't going to stop me from being my best me, right? So, I think the biggest hurdle for people is identifying, and everyone's size of their problem is different, yeah? My size of a problem today, I remember when I was about 6 or 7 properties deep, I was trying to take out a loan to buy a property, and I had a 30 grand personal loan or something. I was like, oh, that's my buffer. I didn't use it, but And I thought to myself, if I buy this property, I'm not going to have any cash left over. And if something goes wrong, I could go bank repo. That was for a 7-bedroom house in Western Sydney for $200,000. That was worth $270,000. I think I was getting it for 180 or something. It's like 270. I was going to flip it to make 50K. It was big money back in the day. And I thought, if that doesn't work, something goes wrong, I'm going to be broke. So I better not push myself so thin. And I look back now, I'm like, if I could go back to the 20-year-old version of me or whatever age I was at the time, I'll fucking slap myself and be like, get a bigger set of balls, right? But I had the biggest set that I could on the day. And like how you process adversity, how you process the challenges is going to determine about how far your journey will take you out of your comfort zone, and fun things happen in your comfort zone, because the world we're programming into isn't that fun. And if you're being just born and you go, okay, this is how it is, get indoctrinated for 12 years, fit into the system, it's pretty boring system. So on that note, folks, I'm going to wrap it up at that. If you have a challenge that you need help on, hit up my team. I feel like half the time when I'm talking to my investors, I'm probably like a counselor. I'm like, they tell me the problem, like, okay, yeah, cool. You know, if you look at it this way, do this with this, right? So we have lots of experience. We've seen a lot over the years, seen a lot of situations, people where they have to exit a deal or, you know, buy a deal or change a position. You know, where do you turn to? Having a network around you, like who do you know that's facing your problem, right? It can be lonely. So if you need help, you know, drop us a DM, send us an email, admin@binvested.com.au, call us 1300 367 925. We're here to help. So thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to drop us a like, share it with your friends and family, and every Thursday, Google Play, Apple Play, Spotify, and YouTube. See you soon, guys. Bye for now.
Like Bilal said, man, we stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it. The dollar back to die, soon to be hyperinflated.